Hi, everybody. It's Steve Berkmeyer from Arteco. Hopefully you can all hear me. I see people are still signing in. So I'm going to go ahead and just wait just a minute or two just for people who are coming in. Okay, we're going to go ahead and at least get started with some introductions. Just a couple housekeeping notes. Um, if you have any questions during the webinar, please use the chat feature. I also have Eric Warbeck, our National Sales Channel Manager, who's with us on the line, and some people from our other offices around the world. So got a really good team of people who can answer questions for you. Um, Once again, my name is Steve Berkmeyer. I'm the Vice President of Business Development for Arteco. Been with the US office since its inception in 2005. So very happy that you're here with us, and hope everyone's staying safe and everyone's doing well. So today's webinar is about analytics. It's something that's kind of near and dear to our hearts at Arteco. It's kind of where we got our first start in the video security. Although the product's evolved quite a lot since then, it's always been something that we've really kept our eye on as far as being important to what we do. Let me just move this out of the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And like I said, if you do have questions, please use the chat feature and I'll keep an eye on that. And we can also open up for some Q&A at the end of it. For those of you who know us, you know that we're based in St. Louis in the United States, and our company's based in Italy, in Faenza. What you might not know is we recently opened offices in both Mexico City and Buenos Aires. So we're very happy to welcome those teams to our family, or our Arteco, as we call it. We also have our office in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I believe both Dean from South Africa and Andres are on this call from Argentina. So welcome, guys. Glad to have you here. And just to kind of, obviously this presentation is going to be about video analytics, but I want to emphasize, because a lot of people a lot of times think, they try to kind of pigeonhole Arteco as what we do. We are first and foremost a video management software. Although we are based in video analytics, that's really allowed us to be an event-based video management system. So, there's all sorts of different things that we can integrate very easily into our system, centralize, give you all that event information, and then give you video verification. So I did want to just spend a quick minute on what a video event management software, or a VEM system, is, just so you can kind of understand where we're coming from, and then we'll delve into the analytics. So what is a VEMS, or event-based video management software? I like to use what the industry says about us. We've been reviewed by Government, Security Today, Campus Safety Magazine, Security Technology and Innovation. And what they've said is Arteco simplifies integration, allowing delivery of event-based information to enhance decision-making and response. The information is presented in a single interface, streamlining monitor and alert notifications for security personnel. And we drive events from IP cameras, access control, et cetera, all to one centralized location and give you video verification. So how that plays out is, it could be an access control, for example. If we're tying in events from access control, we can sort those by color, for example, give you the metadata, the credentials through Open Connector, which is how we developed our integration platform. We can also do that for building automation. So whether it be energy consumption, temperature, a lot of different information that we can tie in to your VEM system and give you video verification. Could be traffic management software tied in with LPR, which we'll talk a lot about today, or just good old perimeter security devices, whether it be microwave barriers, fence sensors, access control, all the traditional security applications. So think about that. We're just tying all this event information. It's an event-based system. One of those key things that we tie in are video analytics. And as we mentioned, Arteco really got its start in the world of video analytics. And if we go back a little bit further, I just kind of wanted to share with you, this is not something that, developed overnight. This is something that's been, over 30 years in the making. Arteco started in 1987 and in a field in industrial automation. And that's something we still do to this day. But what's interesting about that is right around the mid 90s, we started developing applications for machine vision analytics for industrial automation. And that really opened up kind of a new world for us as far as what was possible. It was a rules-based analytics system, and where we were taking a sensor and we were applying rules and using machine vision analytics. So in the early 2000s, we partnered with the University of Bologna and a professor there who was really a forefather of video analytics, and that gentleman's actually our CTO today, by the name of Enrico Biarani. And so for the first time, we were taking our machine vision analytics and we were applying them to a security camera, and that was several years in the making. By the early 2000s, we had deployed enterprise level analytics across thousands of cameras, particularly successful in the electrical utility industry. So what does that have in common? The electrical utility industry has a lot of cases where trespassing is the #1 concern. They want real-time proactive notifications when someone's on premises. And that's what we found the machine vision analytics were very good at doing. They were very good at alerting, reducing false alarms from what you would get from traditional motion detection. Around 2014, after years of doing license plate recognition, we entered into a partnership with what was then Samsung Techwin to put our license plate recognition, our OCR algorithm, onto their camera chipset. Now, most of you know them as Hanwha today. So over the years, we've really advanced our use of using license plate recognition, particularly with the WiseNet chipset. In 2016, we wanted to further expand our portfolio and our commitment to video analytics. And that was where we finally settled on a facial recognition engine to implement into our application. We'd been looking for years for the right facial recognition engine. The challenge was most of it was 50% accuracy is what we were finding in the market. And we just didn't see that was commercially viable. So we'll talk more about FR in a little bit, but I wanted to just show you kind of the progression of how we are, where we've gotten to today. In 2018, cameras, edge-based analytics really made a far climb, and we started partnering with the likes of Bosch, Hanwha, Axis, the major camera manufacturers to integrate their edge-based analytics into the Arteco platform. So you can see over the years, we've gone from the inception in the analog days all the way up to continuing to innovate with video analytics. So what did we kind of learn throughout this time? What were the key benefits of video analytics? And what was going to be our next step forward? How are we going to continue to progress our product and the benefits for our users? So we wanted to analyze the benefits of video analytics, and the #1 benefit that we've always found is resource management. It's approximated that 90% of security video is basically nothing of importance. So what we do with video analytics is we use it as a resource management tool to focus in on what's important to security and be proactive. How do we do that? Through visual and audible alarm triggers, event properties, pushing notifications to operators or guards in the field. So giving you that proactive approach, focusing on what's important and discriminating that video separately than the vast majority of video where nothing of importance is happening. We also allow you to get visual details, right? So you can see on the screen, if I'm looking at, you can see this person here is looking at hundreds of cameras. We can hone in and give her very specific information to draw her attention on visual details about the direction of objects, the size, the intensity of the movement. And really, over the years, one thing that's really become forefront is the searching capabilities, the benefits to video search that video analytics provides. So we're allowing cross-references of metadata. So you can search not just for an object the size of a vehicle, but I want to cross-reference that with license plate recognition metadata, for example, facial recognition, even access control. So something that's not even related to video, we can tie that into your video search for a cross-reference. And now we're super excited. You know, one of the things we're launching, and this was all intended for ISC West, but obviously that did not happen this year. So what we're talking about today is our new, most recent analytics additions, which include object direction as metadata and object color. So at the end of the day, you know, one of the biggest benefits is force multiplication. We're constantly increasing the number of cameras. We're constantly increasing the number of megapixels, the days of retention. How do we use video analytics as a tool to manage those resources, and then, you know, for our customers, allow them to do more with less resources? So that's really those key benefits. So as we kind of set forth to develop our new step forward, so to speak, in the analytics space, we also want to look at not only the benefits, but, you know, what are the challenges in the industry? You know, some of the challenges that we see with video analytics, not just with Arteco per se, but on the industry as a whole. And believe it or not, you know, the number one challenge that we see is actually the selling process. There's, ever since the early days, there's been a tremendous amount of over-promising and underperforming. And that's one thing that we've learned, you know, at Arteco is we want you to know exactly if we can do it or not. We're not really here to kind of sell concepts that, you know, don't exist. And we very early on, we became very adept at saying, no, that won't work. You can't do that. Not with the technology at the state of the art it is right now. One of the other major challenges is they've historically been very difficult to set up, right? This is that concept, you know, I'm sure you've heard, oh, it requires a PhD to set up the rules and the analytics. So we knew that, you know, anything that we develop is focused on being very easy, and that rings through to our analytics applications. The bottom line is if they're too difficult to set up, people won't use them. And, you know, everything that we develop is, how can we make this easier? How can we make it faster? How can we make it more accurate? Another challenge that we've run into over the years with video analytics is software integration. And this really goes back to when you think about video management software, what is its primary design attribute? You know, a VMS is designed to deal with live and recorded video. It was never designed to deal with events that are driven in real time in a proactive manner. On top of this, you have, you know, two very heavy softwares, typically with an analytics package and a VMS asking to play nice together. What happens inevitably is one upgrade happens on one side, it destroys the integration between the two platforms. With Arteco, first and foremost, we've come from the analytics, you know, background. Our architecture's always been about, you know, what happens when something important happens? How do we deliver that information? How do we package it? How do we give you those real-time alert notifications? And, you know, this kind of concept of the VMS never really being designed to deal with analytics also lends to the fourth challenge that we see is it's confusing to the end user. You know, you go to do this next time, you know, looking forward to the time when we can all be back at trade shows, but go to a VMS that has analytics or a camera company that has analytics and ask them to show you a demonstration. Obviously, I'm painting with a broad brush here, but, you know, many of them will be very difficult in trying to explain to you what happens when an analytics event is detected. And most of them will probably not be able to show you in real time what that looks like. So if they can even do that to us, to security professionals, imagine trying to explain that to the end user, or imagine the end user trying to understand that. So once again, this is just creating, you know, at the bottom line, at the end of the day, it's slowing the adoption of these analytics. And that's directly tied to the fifth challenge that we've come across, which is the cost benefit analysis. So on one hand, we're, you know, asking the end user to, you know, adopt these, sometimes pay double the price for their traditional VMS to use this technology. But because of all of these other challenges, it's hard to explain the cost benefit. So those are things that we always are thinking about as a company, as we continue to push forward in this past, 20 years of evolution in the video analytics space. So I wanted to spend some time today, and I realize this is the first time a lot of you are seeing this, even for those who are veterans with Arteco, talking about Arteco's new analytics platform, which is called Video Content Analytics, or VCA. Let me just pause there, make sure I don't have any questions. It's a good time to just take a quick break. Oh, okay. All right, I don't see any questions in the chat, but like I said, if anything comes up, just go ahead and I'll leave that up on my screen so I can at least see it. All right, so Arteco VCA, or Video Content Analytics. Okay, so VCA is a standalone application service. It is a new and improved video analytics platform that works with our Extreme licensing. It can work on Linux or Windows servers. It's cross-platform HTML5 with a web interface. And this is key. It has self-tuning deep learning. This is an AI application, artificial intelligence, with self-tuning and deep learning. We're gonna really kind of go into the differences of what that how that impacts the analytics application. It also provides 3D calibration, so all sorts of new and easy ways to set up and to calibrate the application. It allows customizable object classification. So right out of the, as soon as you turn it on, you can easily identify, is it a vehicle, is it a person, and those are customizable. It has 40 logical rules and filters. The logical rules are, very important to improving the overall analytics, because it says if A plus B is true, then do C, for example. So what that allows us to do is do multiple types of applications in a single field of view. You may want to do violated area, for example, to know, hey, I want to know if someone's in this field of view. I also want to know if they're loitering in a different location, maybe close to a fence, and we'll take a look at that. And also with Open Connector, as we talked about on the onset, it allows the events to share the metadata. So this opens up all of the metadata that we'll see in this system to search, to forensic searches. So keep in mind that cross-referencing that we talked about. So I'm just going to hit play here. And we'll kind of take a look. Here we can see, one thing I want to tell you, whenever you see this red box, that means we're actually triggering an event. If that box around the object is yellow, like up in here, it has not triggered an event yet. The beauty of this system is it starts detecting objects no matter where they are in the field of view, but it's still looking for specific things to happen before it triggers an alarm. So as long as this person was walking outside of this area, it's not a person detection. As soon as he gets in, it's going to trigger an alarm. So we'll take a closer look at that. And what I want to point out to you is in the top right corner of the screen, which is going to go full screen here in just a minute. And you can see there's a very little box, a little yellow box in the trees by that car, and there's a person getting out of it. Through the deep learning filter, we've already identified that that's a person, and we can see metadata about them, what their size is, how fast they're walking, what direction. And now notice as soon as they get into this red area, that's when the alarm is triggered. And that's a wrong direction. We don't want anyone coming in from that side. We can instantly click on the event, play back the video, and see the metadata on the left side of the screen. All of that can be tagged in our system. It can be searched later. And just the way you're used to seeing, the typical analytics or events inside Arteco, it all comes into your event log. So very easy, very powerful. We're going to take a look at multiple applications here. Oops, apologize. Let's skip forward here. Okay, so what can you do? You can receive alerts for appear or disappear. So this would be abandoned or removed. It's the same object. Dwell time. So a loitering. If a person's in a specific area for a set amount of time, we want to detect that. People counting, object counting, direction detection, entering or exiting a facility. You can search by object filter. You can separate out the objects. You can also color filter, speed filter. So I want to be alerted to blue vehicles. I want to be alerted to blue vehicles going 25 miles per hour. Those are all filters that can be set. Present stop, tailgating. In this summer, just a few short months away, and we'll go into details on this, but we'll be releasing face detection algorithm filters and skeletal analytics. We'll talk about what those things are. But let's take a look at this video as well. So here we can see, and I'm just going to pause it right here. Notice we've had a back fence intrusion, and I'm just going to back that up just because it started a little bit before I wanted it to. So here he's in an area, he's basically in an ignored area. We're not concerned about anybody out there. As soon as this individual goes into this zone, changes from yellow to red, we immediately get our on-screen metadata says we have a back fence intrusion. Now, he's going into a secondary zone in the same field of view. And these are those analytical rules. Now he's standing in this area. We still haven't detected him because this is a loitering application. He's up against this fence. Now we want security to know that we have a loitering violation. He's been there for a set amount of time, which in this case was 3 seconds. And we receive that event. So very powerful in the same field of view. I've now sent security to alarms. If he never enters into this area and he never stays in a single position for 3 seconds, we don't get that second alarm. We will get the first alarm, but not the second one. So once again, extremely powerful. It's using the deep learning. It's matching that that's a person, against the library of its deep learning libraries. And that's how it's able to detect so quickly and so accurately. What we talked about in the beginning, the difficulty in analytics to set up. We've implemented 3 things in Arteco VCA that are tremendous as far as speeding up not only the adoption of analytics but also the setup of the individual applications. The first one is on the far left is pre-recorded tests. So you can for a customer, number one question we get all the time is, could you do this? Can you do this? And they want to test it, they want to do a POC. With security footage from their already installed system, if they can export that and give it to us, we can run it through the algorithm and show them exactly how it would work inside Arteco. So this is a very powerful thing, especially when you consider access to pre-recorded footage when there was a situation and they want to know, would analytics have detected that? Or perhaps they want to see, how does it perform at night compared to performing during the day when everyone's there? So pre-record application is an easy way to do that. We also have on-screen modeling. So this solves a problem that we've had, back in the day, was for those of you who use analytics heavily, about the walk test, right? What's the walk test? One guy's on the client software with his cell phone, one guy's out in the field of view and he's walking into the zones. Am I detected? No. Okay, let me change the filters. Okay, clear the zone, walk back in. Am I detected? No. Okay, let me fix the filters. So that can take up a large amount of time. Now, a lot of you out there, and ones that we know very well, have become very, very adept at setup. But this is a way of sizing, different perspective modeling of humans, of vehicles, what have you, directly onto the grid space or onto the field of view, so you can understand how they'll be detected. The third portion for easy setup is auto classification. As soon as you turn on Arteco VCA and you apply the field of view, it's going to start detecting objects based on its previous understood library. So that's how we can tell vehicles versus individuals versus groups of people. You already have that happening, whether you've set up a zone for detection or anything, it's already there. So as soon as you turn it on, it's working out of the box, so to speak. Okay. We mentioned deep learning and the logical rules, and what I want to share with you is, that's giving us the advanced metadata. So that's giving us, the deep learning filter will tell you with % accuracy, much like what we see with facial recognition. It'll tell you with % accuracy its detection of a specific object. And it also gives you all the metadata. Why is this important? This metadata is what we will use for filtering. So if you want to detect a speeding vehicle, if you want to search for all the red vehicles that came through in the last hour, that is really where the deep learning filter is going to come into play. It's also self-tuning. So out of the box, as we said, we're minimizing the setup time tremendously because you can out of the box, you can turn on the deep learning filter and it's going to improve your accuracy of your analytics detections. So very powerful, very exciting. We're super excited on this launch. I want to show you some examples of the deep learning filter. So in this situation, we had set this up and we had drawn, implemented a zone of detection where we only wanted to detect people. We were using a filter to detect the presence of people. And you can see immediately after turning on the deep learning filter, it automatically was detecting this person, showed them in red as a person. It's detecting a person down here that is very difficult to even see with the naked eye because it's blending in with the stack of pallets. It's also detecting this vehicle, which is a forklift, but you can see it's not red. It's a yellow box where we see it, we're identifying it, but that's not what you've asked for as far as your security profile. So we're not allowing it to trigger an event inside your analytics. This is an incredibly powerful application in order to be able to do that. And I wanted to share with you an actual kind of real application. We about 2 years ago had a huge opportunity with an airport, and I wish we would have had the deep learning analytics at that time. But this was a time, as I said on the onset, where we had to say, no, that's not something we can do. But at that point, they had, if you can imagine, it was a cargo airport, a lot of shipping cargo coming through the airport. And they had a specific area, call it just a line on the ground, a line inside a warehouse painted, where if people went across that line, they were violating TSA restrictions. Now, people could come inside the facility, they could be in there, they could be dropping off. So a lot of them were, delivery drivers and people who handled packages and things of that nature. But there was no barrier or no fence. There was just a painted line across the floor, and it's a wide open warehouse. People crossed that line, the cargo airport could be fined, tremendous amounts of money. So yes, to answer those questions, we are on the phone with them, and we're trying to get back into that project. But I want to show you. So if you can imagine, we have this kind of zigzag zone here. That's this line, and just to kind of highlight that, I put, this is not part of the analytics, but I did just put this as an overlay on the PowerPoint just so you could see it. So up in the top left of this field of view, you can see our little yellow box, which means we've detected a person, but we're not interested in that being an event. Anytime he enters into this red area, we want that to be an event. So extremely challenging. We're looking at a distance of about 100 meters, around roughly 300 feet at the far end. And I'm just going to let this play here. And we can kind of see as he starts moving, the real powerful. Now, I want you to take a look at the bottom here, and we'll see as these events come in. It's going to say something to the effect of thermal detection. We've got a guy here that we're not detecting. Okay, so as he walks through, he's yellow. Oh, it turns to red. He's in that physical area. Long range thermal, zone 238, presence 11. So now he's going to come out of this area and he goes back into yellow. He's going to go back into the area, he's detected. Comes out of the area, no longer detected. And we can skip, I'm just for sake of time, I'm going to skip all the way down. And you can see as he does this over and over through these zones, he goes from detected to not detected. And every single one of those is triggering one of these events in the system. This is, I mean, when I saw this, after 15 years of working with video analytics, this is, I can tell you, this is incredibly powerful and easy to use, easy to set up, and just being able to have that without any false alarm and to be that accurate and going in and out of those zones. Like I said, the first thing I thought of was this, the tremendous upside that we can provide with this. And I'll just skip forward as he goes all the way through here, but I assure you there's no false alarms, else I wouldn't be showing it to you. Okay. Okay. So, obviously there's, a tremendous amount of applications that we can use. You have all of your traditional, violated area, loitering, counting, wrong way detection, you name it. I mean, everyone, pretty well knows analytics at this stage for the traditional, abandon, remove type applications. I wanted to share, a very timely application just to kind of show you how this type of innovation is already working. What are we all doing right now? We're all sheltering in place, right? We're all staying at home, and this is obviously something that's impacted the world over. And what are we doing when we do leave the house? We're social distancing. As you know, Italy was one of the kind of hardest hit so far with the pandemic, with the COVID-19 pandemic, and they've actually done with these Arteco VCA in Italy. We're using this to detect applications where people are grouping in public areas. So here we can see everything's fine. It's all yellow. All those people are prescribed 2 meters apart. But we can see and talk about if you don't believe me on timely, you can see the date on there. This was actually from earlier today. We can see outside of this pharmacy, we see as people are closer than the prescribed area, we can detect that as an event. So multiple examples of that here. Once again, we can see a situation where both are happening at the same time, right? Where there may be a concern, but there's also people that are separated. So I saw this and wanted to share it with you because I think it kind of goes to kind of the heart of what video analytics can provide, and that's innovation. I think we continue to see new ways that we can use it that aren't necessarily traditional security applications. One thing that we do at Arteco is we try to take different business applications or different in this case global health applications and use the video security as a tool to help in those cases. So I wanted to share that with you. We touched on it a little bit, but here's some good examples of color classification. So if we want to say, hey, show me the suspect was in yellow, or at this manufacturing facility they're all supposed to wear a specific blue color. Show me anything that was not blue. For example, searching for vehicles, cross-referencing. I'm not just interested in the license plate, or maybe I had a partial plate. So I know the plate started with LP1. It was a yellow vehicle and it came in from the right side of the screen. it really, the refinement that we can do in the search capabilities is continuing to improve on a daily basis. As I mentioned, for a June release, we're also doing face detection algorithm, face detection filter. Not to be confused with facial recognition. This is not matching a face. This is identifying that there is a face in the image and tagging that so we can see that move around the field of view. So if you're interested in finding us, maybe you haven't identified that person, but you want to see where they went in the field of view, that's face detection. And one thing we're really excited about is what are called skeletal analytics or skeletal mapping. And this is a filter that will allow us to detect, slip and falls. It will allow us to detect hands up situations. There's a number of different applications that, we're very excited about the prospects of what we'll be able to do with skeletal mapping on objects. So you can kind of see it, it's a little self-explanatory, but you can kind of see basically through an algorithm, we're understanding the posture, we're understanding the orientation of that particular person relative to the ground. So that's the all for the introduction of Arteco VCA. But this webinar is about analytics as a whole. And as I started talking about in the beginning, many VMSs were never designed to deal with third-party analytics. Arteco I consider an exception because that is our architectural background. So we've been very busy partnering with third-party analytics companies, largely the big camera manufacturers that have implemented access control. Have implemented video analytics into their application. There's also some specialty like drone detection and radiation detection and traffic applications, and a lot of different kind of specialty companies we work with. We're in various engagements with. But I wanted to just kind of highlight our integration with three of the big ones. Access Perimeter Defender product is an excellent trespassing application, great for intrusion, zone crossing, loitering. It's an additional add-on to the camera application, but 100% fully integrated into Arteco. We can receive all their metadata, we can do all the search, give you the event and the event log, all of those good things that you're used to. Bosch IVA, one of the best violated area trespassing applications on board a camera I've seen. Fully integrated into Arteco as well. You literally just set it up inside the Bosch IVA wizard, and then you push that data over to Arteco, and inside the Arteco platform, you can choose what information you want to receive, and up and running. Once again, very easy to use, very easy to take advantage. So even if you're using an Arteco version that you want to use some of these edge-based analytics, even on like an emotion license, you can still do that. So very easy, very encompassing. Hanwha, WiseNet, we talked about the LPR on the onset. I'm going to jump into kind of a demo of that real quick. So yeah, we lots of experience with LPR. You can get it with Arteco, you can get it on board the WiseNet X series cameras. But the Hanwha also has a very interesting list of onboard analytics. That my understanding they're included with some models of cameras, but obviously speak to Hanwha, don't speak to me. But the cool thing about it is, the heat mapping, people counting, things that you don't see on a lot of these edge-based camera, fog detection, defocus, face detection, similar to what we were looking at earlier. And then they have a list of audio analytics as well: scream, gunshot, explosion, glass break. So I encourage you to kind of look at those. And once again, fully integrated with the Arteco platform. Same thing I've been showing you. If you want to search for things, any of their metadata that comes through, we can search. Okay, now the recognition applications. I kind of put these off into a little bit of a class of their own. These are the optical character recognition for LPR and face rec. A lot of people know us for our partnership with Hanwha, with WiseNet for LPR, and that's called the Arteco LPR app, which is on board the WiseNet X series. but you can also buy that as the Arteco LPR server. It's the same price. A lot of people don't know that. It requires a separate PC to manage the algorithm. But with that, you can use virtually any 2 megapixel camera just with an RTSP stream. And so if for some reason, you know, you want to go the different route, you know, maybe you already have cameras that weren't hand-wash, that's still available to you through the Arteco LPR server. And then even a more advanced, we get asked a lot, you know, can you do traffic applications, high speed? Can you read the sides of containers or moving boats, things like that? We do have an Arteco LPR plugin, which is an OCR algorithm that works on specialty cameras. There's a company called Tatile, which is a global leader in OCR cameras, fully integrated with Arteco. So if you ever need that, you know, just keep that in the back of your mind. We have a very in-depth portfolio when it comes to license plate recognition. So chances are, you know, we can make a recommendation on the way to go for that. And I just kind of want to show you, I'm going to let this play real quick. I want to show you as I'm talking through kind of that we've talked a lot about search and the capabilities. You're looking at our Arteco Next, excuse me, which is our client software. And we're looking at a map of a facility, and you can see we have those different icons listed on there, the LPR icon. And I also have LPR events down in my event log. So if just double click on the event log, and now I can see that there's a license plate that's been read through. It's 572XZE is that match. So I want you to remember that 572XZE as we kind of go through here. On the left side, you can see there's live video coming through, and on the right side is a snapshot of that plate reading. You can bookmark this event for easy access, easy to find, search later. You can set a status, maybe you want to make it a high priority, medium, low. You can set it as a work in progress, or there's a number of different types of status that you can set. You can also add notes into this event properties. So in this case, you can put in, you know, this was a demo, this is a test, or you can put pertinent information. This is all something you can search later. So very easy to come in. You can use it as a chat with multiple users. So if people want to save it by name and date, they can do that. Now you can see all that event information is saved in there. So if I want to do some further forensic searching, what I've done is I've just drag and drop that camera onto my grid. And now just by searching, you know, exactly what's on my field of view, we'll go back the last 7 days and hit search. And that's going to pull up all of the events across that camera, every LPR reading in the last 7 days. Obviously, there's tons of LPR readings. So if I wanted to refine that search, I can type in our 572, what was it, XZE? Yes, and hit search. And now in the last 7 days, that quickly, I see I've had 2 examples of that search. So, and they could be coming from multiple cameras. In this case, they're both coming from the same camera. This was this guy coming in and this guy leaving. So we'll take a look at those real quick. Here's him on the way in. Here's him on the way out. Now, okay, so that's just in the last 7 days. What if I wanted to see the last month? How easy it is for me to search that. Change it to custom interval, change my date to 1 month, hit search, let that load, go to my event log. Now I have every single instance of that vehicle coming across multiple cameras every time I've seen 572XZE. So in that quick of a search, I can find what days of the week does this person come through, what times of the day, which parts of my campus are they frequenting. You can very quickly paint a forensics picture of what this you know, potential situation is. So super easy from a search capability and very powerful. All the things that we want to harp on from a software standpoint. Oops, I keep doing that. Apologies. Okay. Face recognition, we talked about, you know, I kind of mentioned on the onset, we did spend about 5 years doing feasibility studies every year, trying to find an engine that was compatible with our mission. And Our challenge was, we would find, for the most part, we were looking at about a 50 to 55% accuracy, and we just didn't find that to be commercially viable. What we like about this engine is it's based off a 3D map of the face. So it's adaptive 3D technology based on light, pose, occlusion, those types of things. It also allows you to set a threshold. So if you want to say, hey, I only want a verified detection to be 80% or higher. So once again, very similar to what we saw in the analytics with the deep learning filter, you can set that threshold and say, if the engine doesn't think it's 80% or higher for a verified match, don't even return it. So that's a very powerful thing. The other thing that we like about it is not only can you match faces to what's in the database, but you can receive an alarm if a face is not in the database, which is great for applications. If you have perhaps somebody as a backup to access control. Maybe somebody's badged in, but I've taken my badge from somebody else and I've gotten into the facility. Now I walk by a camera, I think it's just a passive camera, but it's reading every face and matching it to a database. So I'm going to show you, I'm just going to break away from here real quick and give you a breath of fresh air from the PowerPoint. Jump over to our software and just kind of show you how that works. So here we have a map of a facility, much like you saw in the demo videos. This is a auto dealership. So if I hover over the face recognition icon, I can scroll through all the different detections that I've had in the last, since the software's been on. But I see this Jeremy Franco guy, who probably a lot of you know, he's one of our lead support techs. And I'm going to go through and I want to just do some quick forensic searching on Jeremy Franco, for example. So to do that, what I'm going to do a custom interval. And let's do the same thing. We'll do the last month. I'm going to do a manual search. I'm going to come over to my demo and go down to my facial recognition down here. And I will search, just to make it easy, I'm going to search all my peripherals. So anything that I've attached to my system, any third party or analytics type application. I'll do Jeremy and hit search. And now, just that easy, in the last month, I can see every time we've detected Jeremy on facial recognition. So it's just a matter of clicking on here and going through and seeing him matched up with the video as he's coming through this one specific area. Now, as we were saying with the access control, if I wanted to verify, hey, I have Jeremy coming in on access control, but I'm not so sure that that was the same person who had the badge. I can also, just by checking, however many doors I want to check, I can just make a check on the access control, hit search. And now I have verified. You'll notice the green are access control and the pink are the, those are the facial recognition. So now it's just a matter of double clicking on that. And I can see, okay, yeah, that matches. It is Jeremy coming through on both access control and facial recognition. So once again, super easy to search. You can apply that type of metadata search to all the different analytics that we've taken a look at so far today. Okay, so let's jump right back over to where I was, and we're wrapping up here just with some vertical solutions. Let me get back into my slideshow. And what are vertical solutions? So, analytics create a lot of very interesting information, and that information creates opportunities. One of the key opportunities that we see with video analytics is in marketing. And we developed something called the Arteco marketing platform. It's actually being repackaged into a second generation version at the moment. But what this allows us to do is take metadata from analytics like people counting, like different demographic readings from the analytics, and apply those to point of sale receipt information. So we can see certain days of the week, weeks of the month, when are specific people buying different things. How does a heat map relate to what's purchased in the store? So really just the convergence of the metadata from video analytics and other data points, in this case for marketing purposes. It's a web-based system. It's completely cloud-based. It also, allows you to access from any browser. So if you want to put it onto a tablet or anything like that, very portable from that standpoint. So super cool product. Happy to kind of go in depth on that with any of you. Just want to share kind of some of the things we're doing. The other application is called Arteco Event Analytics, or AEA. One thing we found as we continue to integrate more and more event generating systems like analytics, like perimeter security, access control, is we were now having a ton of information coming into one centralized location, which is what we do. So we're excited about that. But we wanted to give you a web-based platform that helped make sense of all that data. So AEA allows you to run reports on the events that you're receiving. So you can run reports on the devices, so even the individual analytics applications or access control or whatever it might be. You can run reports on the site. So if you want to compare site A to site B, why am I having so many events at this site but not that many over here? You can do that. And you can also run reports on operators. So how are my actual people who are using the system, how are they behaving? Are they, is operator A handling 80% of the events, or what's their average close time, things of that nature. So very cool analytical tools. Once again, web-based, cloud-based, allows you to access inside Arteco or access from any web-enabled device. So super cool stuff. At this point, I want to say thank you. I want to open up kind of for any questions that there might be. I'm going to go ahead and mute for everyone, unmute. I guess just does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask? I'm going to unmute Eric here. Eric, it says you're self-muted. So I'm trying to unmute you.
Yeah, I'm unmuted now.
Okay. So
great presentation, Steve. Awesome job.
Thank you.
Again, folks, just make sure that that you reach out to us, directly in this chat or via email. We'll send you some follow-up stuff. We did record this session, so we'll be able to send that recording out to you. Again, remember that we're VMS at heart. We do all the things at a great price point that any VMS can do, and then we can get into all kinds of feature sets, as you've seen, in addition that are just add-ons or accessories to that great product that is able to manage events. So, question, go ahead and raise your hand, and we will do everything we can to answer that or catch you offline and answer it later. Great job. Thanks again for attending.
And I do want to say, this is, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but this is a series of webinars that we'll be doing on different topics. And also, we are doing the same webinar tomorrow. So I know that if there were people that you know of in your organizations that couldn't attend, or maybe you saw something that you're like, oh, this person really needs to see this, we're doing the same show tomorrow, so happy to do it. I've also have Dean Sickelschmidt, who's our country manager from South Africa, who's really been super involved in the Arteco VCA, and special thanks to Dean for some of the help with this presentation. So just wanted to kind of open the floor to Dean as well.
Hey Steve, hey Eric. Yeah, so Steve, a great job on the presentation. Looks really great, and just obviously from us here in South Africa, just also say that the Arteco VCA has been extremely well received. Yeah, I mean, us in South Africa have got massive problems with perimeter intrusion and so forth. So we're very mature when it comes to analytics as a whole. So we understand like your earlier slide, definitely showing that it's definitely oversold and under-delivered. But we're a very mature country when it comes to analytics. So we're very excited to have eventually releasing our Arteco VCA, and so we're looking forward to the next few months. As soon as we get out of our lockdown as well, we're really hoping to hit the road and spend some good time face to face with guys. But yeah, Steve, to you and the team that put us together, well done, man. It looks great, and I just wish you all the best with you guys in the US on that side as well.
And Dean, thank you, appreciate that. What would you say is kind of the number one difference you see in the advances in this technology versus the traditional machine vision application?
To be honest with you, I think there's been a big drive to obviously becoming more accurate and obviously bringing in the deeper learning side of things as well. But I think the biggest win here for us with Arteco VCA is not needing a $1,000 big server to drive the analytics. So it's not only just the incredible power of the product, but it's also the ability to do that on a relatively inexpensive piece of equipment. So I think that's really, yeah. I mean the total TCO is the total cost of ownership is really really driven down, which is great. I mean, in SA we've got some guys that are running a little i3 machine and running 16 channels of analytics quite effectively on it. They can probably push around about 24. I mean, look at our competitors. I mean, they really got to push quite a large and very expensive machine to do that. So for us, that's great. And be honest with you, that I've been pushing analytics for quite some time, and I mean that's how I started with Arteco is first of all being introduced to the analytics side of things, and
I remember.
It's quite some time ago. But the biggest thing now is that we're finding that our customers are so. Look, I did a head count or number count a few weeks ago in terms of the amount of channels we have here. So we've got close onto about 200 channels already of Arteco VCA installed. So I mean that's it's numbers that just happen so quickly. But the biggest thing is that it takes us between 15 and 20 minutes to set up a channel. So when we see a customer saying, I'm spending maybe 30-40 minutes, maybe an hour to set up the rules and the zones, and I'm still not getting the good detection, then we definitely know that they're doing something. There's some basics that are wrong here. So I've never had more than 15, let's say 20 minutes of time spent on setting it up. It's really easy, especially with the X and Y grids and putting the points of reference, with the different domain on that. And I mean, out of the box, I mean, it just starts working. So it's really it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Awesome. And I did have a question, Dean. I want you to stay on as well, but did have a question that came in from Nick, and he asked, can you use an alarm from an IO, for example, an electric fence alarm, and combine with a rule as a double knock instead of just linking analytic rules as you presented? So basically using an input from a third-party system and tying that to the rules. So say it must be a detection from the fence system plus a detection from the analytic rule to create the event. So Dean, I wanted to see if you had experience with that, and is that something that?
Good question. That was a really good question. So it is one of the feature sets that we are planning to build into the Arteco VCA, and electric fencing is huge in South Africa. And yes, we want to be able to have the and all rules that you spoke about earlier, not just purely from what we're getting in the analytics, but yes, we want
as an input.
As an input, that is absolutely. So yes, that is definitely definitely on our to-do list.
And we can, and Nick, so we can do that with the Arteco Everywhere, which has micro PLC built into it. So that would you would still get the alarm from the fence, you would get the alarm from the analytics, but there would be a third alarm for both. So that's one workaround that we could do it. But as Dean said, we're working towards having that as part of the VCA.
I think Steve probably would be able to get around this, you know, in a not in a crude way, but I mean, maybe a different way using the virtual IOs. So
yes.
yeah, so it's and as you know, I'm not too strong on the virtual IOs thing, so that's definitely something that we obviously need to look at as well. Good question. Very valid question.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. Any other questions today? Okay. Well, like I said, thanks everyone once again for your time today. We really appreciate that. We welcome you. We welcome any questions that you might have. Any of you who know us, you know, we're pretty much an open book. So we love to share what we know and what our information is. And once again, be safe out there. Come back and see us. We'll send you all some information on what we saw today, and have a great day. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. Take care. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Great job.
Thanks.